DreAllDay.com.
You're now tuned into the show where you learn the discipline to show up day after day to do the work, the confidence to put yourself out there boldly and authentically, and the mental toughness to continue showing up, doing the work, putting yourself out there, even when the success you've expected to achieve is yet to be achieved. And on top of all this, you get a huge dose of personal initiative, which is the go-getter energy that moves me, you, him, her, them, and they to go make things happen instead of waiting for things to happen. And then we put all this together into one bundle, one package, one mindset, one method, one philosophy, one show, one book, one daily masterclass. Yes, you heard me correctly. This is a daily masterclass that is called Work on Your Game. My name is Dre Baldwin, also known as Dre All Day, and welcome to the show. And today's topic is how to have a growth mindset. Now, I talked a lot about growth mindsets. Actually, before I even go any further, let me tell you that I have a text line because I want you to get in touch with me and tell me how you feel about what you heard on today's masterclass. My number is 305-384-6894. You can share if you have a question, a comment, if you just want to congratulate me on a beautiful episode. If I opened your eyes to something that you hadn't thought about before, I gave you a new perspective on something that you maybe just weren't looking at it from this direction before. If you have a question, hey Dre, have you ever done a masterclass on this topic? Or do you have a book or a course or product on such and such topic or anything like that? Anything you would want to ask me, and yes, that is my text number. Yes, I will respond to you. My number is 305-384-6894. Again, 305-384-6894. I take time every day to go through my text and respond to anything that people have sent me. So that number is down below in the show notes. So the topic here today, having a growth mindset. I talked about this and I touched on it a lot in episode 1907, just about a few days ago. The topic was how to unlearn bullshit. And when it comes to a growth mindset, I realized that I hadn't ever done a formal masterclass on this specific topic. So I wanted to make sure I did a full one just on this topic alone so that you know exactly what it means and how to have this mentality, and also what it looks like when you have a different mentality that might be holding you back and slowing you down. So let me give a definition of a growth mindset. And I grabbed this one straight off of Google, and I didn't even grab my what's the phrase that I'm looking for? I didn't even grab my source, so I want to make sure I grab my source here so I can give credit to whoever it was that actually said this. So while I pull that up, growth mindset is from a website called tophat.com. Tophat.com. And the definition of growth mindset is, quote, a growth mindset proposed by Stanford professor Carol Dweck in her book, Mindset, describes people who believe that their success depends on time and effort. People with a growth mindset feel their skills and intelligence can be improved with effort and persistence. They embrace challenges, persist through obstacles, learn from criticism, and seek out inspiration in others' success. Those who hold a growth mindset believe they can get better at something by dedication of time, effort, and energy. Working on one's flaws and the process, not the outcome, are the most important components. With time and practice, people with a growth mindset believe they can achieve what they want. The opposite of a growth mindset is a fixed mindset, close quote. So with all this being said, these phrases that get used here in this definition of a growth mindset, again, which came from Carol Dweck, who wrote a book called Mindset, and I think this book might have been in the 1990s or maybe early 2000s. It was a very popular book on mindset, and it was I think this book can be laid down as one of the foundational pieces of personal development, that book by Carol Dweck. If you haven't read it, I would suggest that you do go get it and do read it. And one of the things that they say in this definition, that success depends on time and effort. And people with a growth mindset feel that they can get better through hard work and persistence. These people embrace challenges, persist through obstacles, they accept and learn from criticism, and they get inspiration by looking at other people's success. They feel they can get better by putting in time, effort, and energy. Y'all heard those phrases before. Episode 609, the 5 forms of investment: time, money, attention, energy, focus. Working on more from this definition is working on your flaws, the things that you're not that great at, and understanding that there is a process that you need to follow. It's not just about the outcome, but the process. That's the most important component. And if you put in enough time and enough effort, enough practice time, they mentioned time 3 times here, with a growth mindset, you believe you can achieve what you want. So I would guess, based on what we talked about in episode number 1886, if you don't remember episode 1886, the title of that episode was Dissecting Critical Race Theory. Now, what does growth mindset have to do with critical race theory? I would think that'd be the same question that I would ask. I'll tell you that in that episode, in the last point, I told you about a graphic that was put out by the National Association of African American History Museum, a document that said these are the cultural traits of whiteness in America. And those traits, many of the things that are here in this definition, putting that time is the most important thing, that hard work equals success. That if you have not created success, is because of something that either you did do or something that you did not do. In other words, you have control over your destiny, and that if you put in enough time and effort, you can create your success, and that success matters, and that being on time and competing and wanting to win and wanting to succeed, these things are paramount and important in life. These were all listed by the National Association of African American History. Again, National Association of African American History at the Smithsonian Museum were listed as cultural traits of whiteness. So I would guess that they would categorize a growth mindset as being white in America. Now, I'm saying that kind of tongue in cheek, but I'm not joking when I tell you that that document does exist, because several of you who heard that episode 1886, you went and Googled that document and it did exist, did it not? I wasn't lying to you. But listen to episode 1886 and you can hear it for yourself, and you can go look up that document as a graphic, an infographic that this organization put out. I don't know why they put this out. I don't know who okayed this. I don't know who the committee was that voted on it, but it was a very dumb thing to put out. And anyway, well, I guess we're going to talk about some more whiteness here today. Again, I'm being sarcastic. We're talking about having a growth mindset. You want to develop a growth mindset. I just gave you the definition. You put in the time, you put in the work, you put in the effort. You can control your destiny by making yourself get better voluntarily and on purpose. If you're interested in that, keep listening. But if you think that that's a little bit too white for you and you're not interested, you can turn this off and you go listen to, I don't know, The Breakfast Club or something like that. So let's get into it. Point number 1. Today's topic, once again, is how to have a growth mindset. Number 1, first step to a growth mindset is you must believe that you can grow, progress, and improve. First step to having a growth mindset is believing that you can grow. Novel idea. Can you grow? Can you progress? Can you improve? In other words, the person that you are today, this is a question that I'm asking you. The person that you are today, are you stuck being this person, or are you capable of changing, adopting, evolving, growing, and improving? That's a question. I'm not telling you, I'm asking you. Yeah, I'm gonna need you to answer that question. It's not a rhetorical question. If your answer is yes, then you are eligible for a growth mindset. If your answer is no, or you're not sure, you are ineligible for a growth mindset. And yes, there is no in between. When you face a challenge in life, do you believe that you can learn how to fix it and overcome the situation? Actually, let me take it out of the question, since you can't actually answer me. Let me just say this as a statement. When you face a challenge, believe that you can learn how to fix that challenge or overcome the situation, overcome the problem in front of you, solve it, and thusly move ahead in life. All right, if you want to have a growth mindset, you must do this. Understand that setbacks and challenges and bumps in the road in your life are not bugs of life, meaning it's not something that went wrong. It's not a glitch when you face a challenge in life. That doesn't mean something went wrong. When you face a challenge or a setback or an obstacle in life, what it means is life is doing exactly what it's supposed to do. Is there anyone listening to me right now who's lived their life with no challenges, no obstacles, no bumps in the road, nothing ever happened, everything just went smoothly and perfectly according to plan? Anybody who has lived a life like that? Because if you have, we need to have you on the show. Actually, no, we shouldn't have you on the show because nobody will be able to relate to you. So let me know so I can make sure I never have you on the show. When you face a challenge in life, understand that you can fix it, you can overcome it. And fixing it, dealing with it, handling it, overcoming it, solving it, those are the things that allow you to grow. All right, so those are basically your rites of passage for growth in life. When you face a challenge in life and you face a setback and things are not quite working the way that you want them to, don't be upset that that happened. Be happy that that happened. You know why? Because going through that and dealing with it and overcoming it and handling it is exactly what allows you to grow. If you go through a life that has no challenges, no setbacks, nothing ever happens, you're never in a situation where you have to overcome an obstacle or figure anything out, you will never grow. Now, how are you going to grow? You're not going up against anything. How are you going to get big muscles? You never lift weights. How are you going to get strong cardiovascular health? You never ride a bike or go for a run. How can you do those things? How can you get how can you get good at school? You never study. It's impossible. You have to face the challenges in order to get better. I mean, this is a simple concept, but some people seem to forget it over time. Again, depending on who and what you're listening to and who you're being indoctrinated by, some people seem to forget that facing challenges in life is part of the package. It's supposed to be like that. All right, there's nothing wrong when you face a challenge. You should be happy when you face a challenge. That means you're alive. All right, anybody who has no challenges in life, they're dead. All right, we have funerals for those people. Do not default to feeling powerless, defeated, or victimized by your circumstances. Unfortunately, there are so many people out here these days that either feel this way, powerless, defeated, and victimized, or they are trying to make you feel that you should feel. They're trying to get you to feel powerless, victimized, and defeated by your circumstances. Why? I don't know. Again, this is a question that you should be asking yourself. Why would somebody want you to feel like a victim? What do they get from making you feel like a victim, and how does it help you? You should be asking these critical questions. All right, these are questions that go along just in the very concept of critical thinking. And before I talk about critical thinking, let me tell you a couple episodes where I've talked about victimhood. I told you in episode number 1613, why victimhood sells. So I kind of helped you answer this question. If you didn't listen to that episode, go listen to it. Episode number 1524, we are not victims. Episode 645, how to never be a victim. Episode number 1899, more leaders and fewer victims. And episode number 1888, victims are the new dictators. If you haven't listened to those episodes, go listen to them. And I talked about critical thinking in a two-part series, which was episodes number 1826 and 1827, how to be a critical thinker and then habits of critical thinkers. Critical thinkers ask these questions. All right, why would a person want me to feel powerless and defeated and like a victim? I mean, those are, usually we look at those as negative things, right? Why would someone want you to feel like that? And what do they get for doing it? Because nobody does something for nothing, in case you didn't know. Someone's trying to get you to feel something that doesn't seem like it's a positive thing, then there's something else going on that maybe you haven't asked yourself about yet, but as a critical thinker, you will. In episode number 750, I told you to know your angles and know the angles of other people. And see all angles, not just the angles that you like, which is episode number 593. A growth mindset individual never defaults to feeling powerless, defeated, or victimized because those traits do not lead to growth. Unfortunately, these days, there's a plethora of hustlers out there who want to tell you that you are powerless and defeated and a victim. They want to tell you that your circumstances are not your fault, quote unquote, but it's not even about fault. Honestly, it's not. Growth mindset is about responsibility and ownership. That's what it's about. People with a growth mindset take responsibility of and ownership over their circumstances, even if those circumstances are not their fault. I shall repeat myself. People who have a growth mindset take responsibility of and ownership over their circumstances, even if and when those circumstances are not their fault. This is how it goes. This is how things work. Why? Because if you're not taking any time in life, any period, I don't care if it's for 5 minutes or 5 years, where you are not taking responsibility of and ownership over your circumstances, then something or someone other than you has more control over your life than you do. Now, at that point, you actually are powerless, and you are a victim, or you could become a victim because you're opening yourself up to it. That something or someone else has more control over your outcome than you do. Yeah, at that point, you're powerless because you're not controlling things. Somebody else is pulling the strings in your life. Problem with that is your life is your life. You're the only one who has to live with the results of it. So why would you want anyone else pulling the strings? Again, rhetorical question. You can answer it for yourself. I couldn't answer that question for me. So I would take responsibility and ownership over my situation. Even if someone else does something or says something or doesn't do something that ends up putting me in a situation that I didn't want to be in, I still had to take ownership of that situation. I still had to take responsibility for that situation. Why? Because I'm the one who has to live with the outcomes of whatever happens in that situation, even though somebody else did something that put me in that place. I still got to own it. Why? Because I got to live with it. That's what a growth mindset person, that's how a growth mindset person thinks. Whereas a fixed mindset person says, well, I'm here in this space and maybe it wasn't my fault, maybe it was my fault, but I'm here and there's nothing I can do about it. They are effectively powerless. Now, you have a choice here. I'm not telling you that being growth mindset versus fixed mindset means you are right or you are wrong. I am not the moral police. Right? I'm not going to tell you what's right or wrong. You decide what's right or wrong. I'm just going to present the information to you, and you can decide for yourself what you want to do with it. Point number 2. Today's topic, once again, is how to have a growth mindset. People with growth mindsets understand that they are not stuck where they start, as I just alluded to in point number 1. Even if your circumstance and situation is not your fault. Listen, I'm an entrepreneur right now today. My parents were not entrepreneurs. They did some entrepreneurial things, but they were not full-fledged, full-time entrepreneurs. And even if they had been, whatever they do know about entrepreneurship, I don't know it because they never sat me down and said, hey, we're entrepreneurs. This is what being an entrepreneur means. This is how you do it. This is what makes it different from being an employee. Here, the things that we do here, the things you need to understand. Here's some mindsets you need to understand. Here's some strategies. Here's some books to read. I was never given that. So when I finally discovered the concept of entrepreneurship, I was 21 years old, and I had to learn it all from the ground up at a much later age than some other people did. So technically, when it comes to entrepreneurship, I started kind of behind the 8 ball, whereas other people, maybe their parents taught them entrepreneurship from a very young age. They had a lot stronger foundation of it than I did. Is it their fault that they knew more than I did, or that they had some teachers that I didn't have? No. Is it anybody's fault? Do I blame my parents for not teaching me entrepreneurship, even though I'm an entrepreneur now? No. Once I realized that entrepreneurship was a thing, and I decided that was the thing that I was going to do after playing basketball, I took ownership and said, all right, let me figure out what information do I need to get? Or what do I need to learn? All right, what books do I need to read? What do I not know? Where is my ignorance, and how can I plug those gaps? I was not stuck where I started. So I started getting the information. This false belief idea of being stuck where you start, meaning whatever situation you were handed, whether that's where you were born, who your parents are, what country you're from, what race you are, what gender you are, your sexual orientation or gender identity, whatever the phrase is they're using these days, whatever situation you're in, you're just stuck there because that's the situation that you're in. Usually this is coming from people who have been indoctrinated to believe that some part of your identity, whether that's your age, race, gender, culture, religion, color, one of those things somehow has put you in a position where you're supposed to lose, you're supposed to fail. And again, there's a lot of hustlers out here who are telling you these things, and you need to, I'm trying not to tell you what to think, I'm gonna tell you how to think. You should be asking yourself, why would people want you to feel that way? That's what a critical thinker would do. Again, now maybe you don't want to be a critical thinker, but a critical thinker would ask, why would someone want me to feel like that? Because there are a lot of hustlers out here who want you to feel that way. You should be asking yourself that question, and then you should be doing the work to figure out the answer, your answer to that question. They want you to feel like you're stuck where you start. This false belief idea is a symptom of a fixed mindset. Because you are this thing, race, ethnicity, religion, nationality, sexual orientation, gender, etc., there is only so far that you can go. Anyone who is this sexual orientation can only go this far. Anyone who's this race can't do this thing. Anyone who's this religion is going to get blocked from achieving this outcome. I want you to listen to me right now. All right, since you're listening here to my show, here's something where I'm going to tell you what to think. You are never stuck in any situation. There is no situation you could be put in which you are stuck, ever. Your job is to use your imagination to alter any situation that you want to change. We covered imagination in episode 1872. Your job is to leverage your 5 forms of investment covered in episode 609 and along with your imagination and change the situation to your liking. And that doesn't mean it's going to happen in one day. It might be years in the making for you to do this. But that's your job. What else you got to do? Remember something. The world is always moving and evolving, i.e. growing. So if you are fixed with a fixed mindset, That means the world is moving forward. The world is literally moving. All right, it's rotating around the sun and is rotating on its axis 23.5 degrees. If the world is moving and you're fixed, you're losing because the world is moving and you're staying in the same spot. You're in neutral. There is no neutral in the universe. You're either moving forward or you're moving backward. Even if you stand still, you're moving backward because the world's moving. Fixed mindset people are losers because they're staying in the same spot. They're trying to maintain the status quo. Problem is the world is always changing, so there's no such thing as maintaining the status quo. Anyone who calls themselves maintaining the status quo is losing effectively. They are effectively losing. They think they're maintaining the status quo, but they're actually not. Because every day you're getting a bit older, and that status quo is getting a little bit more stale. Point number 3. Today's topic, once again, is how to have a growth mindset. Leverage the law of association. We talk about the law of association, episode number 1880. What does it mean? Get around other people who also want to grow, who want to learn, and who believe they have agency in their own success. Get around people who are critical thinkers. Get around people who look at the assumptions that they have been handed or the assumptions that they showed up with and ask themselves, from where did I acquire these assumptions? Why do I have these beliefs? What are these based in? Are they based in actual logic? Are they based in actual truth? Can they be verified? What if I try to disprove myself through the beliefs that I showed up with? Will I have some different beliefs? Get around people who think this way. Get around people who want their ideas and their beliefs and their actions to be challenged. Get around people who don't see themselves as defeated, as powerless, and as victims. Get around people who have agency over what they do in life. They believe, no matter their circumstances, that there's something that they can do to alter their situation. That's the law of association when it comes to growth mindset. You want to develop more of a growth mindset. You want to solidify your growth mindset. You want your growth mindset to grow even more as a mindset. Get around people who fit the description of what I just told you. These are the type of people who will challenge you. They will share ideas with you. They will push you to improve. And here's the key, talking law of association, they will expect you to do the same thing to and for and with them. That's how you get a growth mindset. Go find people who fit this description. They're going to do this to you. I'm telling you right now so that you expect it. And they're going to expect you to do the same thing to them. And if you don't, they will take it personal that you are not holding up your end of the bargain. You are bringing their average down. They're going to get rid of you. So one way to develop your growth mindset is to associate with others who already have it. And you can swap out growth mindset and put in anything you want in life. You want to become a great weed smoker, associate with other people who smoke weed. They'll tell you where to buy the best weed, and they'll show you how to roll it up and all that. Let me get into the terminology because I don't know it. You want to be a good athlete? Go find other athletes and hang with them. All right, find a way to make yourself valuable so that they let you hang around at least for a little while. You want to be a good writer? Hang around people who are writers and look at their habits, and you're going to pick up on those habits. Why? Because you're associating with them. You will become the people you associate with. Who is in your circle? Look at your circle right now. Look at your phone contacts. Look at your text messages. Who are you talking to? And what do they bring into your life? And what do you bring into theirs? Are you being challenged? How do the people in your circle take challenges? How do people in your circle respond when you challenge one of their long-held beliefs? What do people in your circle say when you offer an idea or a position or a belief or an action that goes against what they believe? Do they condemn you? Do they ask you about it? Do they ignore you and not say anything but stew in, and you later on find out that they were kind of annoyed or pissed off that you offered a belief that's different from theirs? What do? How many growth mindset people do you have around you? And let me be clear, having a growth mindset doesn't mean that you change all your beliefs based on what someone else says, but you are open to understanding how and why someone else thinks something different from you. And you're willing to engage on that how and why. And maybe, just maybe, if you get a better idea, you'll change it. But you do get to the bottom of the conflict when there are two ideas that seem to be going against each other from two different people. We find out what is the actual crux of the disagreement. What's the real main thing that one person is seeing, the other person is seeing something different? It usually is one thing. It may seem like it's a bunch of things, but usually it's just one thing that leads to all the other things. All the rest are just symptoms. But the law of association, you're around other growth mindset people. Simple enough concept. Yes? Let's recap today's class, which is how to have a growth mindset. I talked about this again a lot in the episode on Unlearning Bullshit, episode 1907. I'll read this definition again. A growth mindset proposed by Stanford professor Carol Dweck in her book Mindset describes people who believe that their success depends on time and effort. People with a growth mindset feel their skills and intelligence can be improved with effort and persistence. They embrace challenges, persist through obstacles, and learn from criticism and seek out inspiration in others' success. Those who hold a growth mindset believe that they can get better at something by dedication of time, effort, and energy. Working on one's flaws and the process, not the outcome, are the most important components. With time and practice, people with a growth mindset believe they can achieve what they want. The opposite of a growth mindset is a fixed mindset. Close quote. So let's dive into this. Point number one, the first step to a growth mindset, believe that you can grow, progress, and improve. When you face a challenge, believe that you, yes, you can learn how to fix it and overcome the situation. Do not default to feeling powerless, devalued, or victimized by your circumstances, despite the fact that there are many hustlers out there who want you to believe that you are not the reason for your situation and you are powerless to do anything about your situation. Do not listen to those people. Growth mindset is about responsibility and ownership. In other words, the exact opposite of what many of the hustlers are trying to make you feel victimized and powerless so that they can keep power over you because that's how they get whatever it is that they're after. Understand, nobody can make you grow. You have to make the choice. Point number two, you are not stuck where you start. All right, people who think they're stuck where they start have a fixed mindset that because they are this thing or that thing, whatever way they describe themselves, that there is a ceiling on their success. I will counter that point by saying you are never stuck in any situation in life. What your job is then is to use your imagination, talked about in episode 1872, to change the situation and also leverage your 5 forms of investment, episode 609. Remember that the world is always moving and evolving. If you are fixed, then you are losing by default. Point number 3, the law of association. Get around other people who want to grow, learn, and who believe that they have agency in their own success, full agency in their own success. They are majority stake owners in their own success. They will challenge you, they will share ideas, they will push you to improve, and here's the key, they expect you to do the exact same thing with them. Do you have these people in your circle now? Look at your phone contacts, look at your chats, look at your DMs, look at your text messages. Are you talking to people who fit this description or are you not? There is no neutral. Are you being challenged? How do the people in your circle take those challenges? How often are you being pushed to grow and how often are you pushing anyone else to grow? Text me. Tell me what you got from this episode. My number is 305-384-6894. Work on your game. Dre all day.